And good afternoon. Welcome to Luke with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590. I'm very excited to be here with our next guest. This is someone that I've known for a little bit of time now. I was in Malden at the Breakfast for Santa, or Breakfast with Santa program provided by the Lions Club there in Malden. And I was talking to Phil Saney. And Phil Saney, of course, who knows everybody in Malden. This rather large gentleman, 6'10", I think is what we're going to officially say, 6'10", about 280 now. He walks up, says hello to Phil. I said, "Oh my God, Phil, who's the gigantic bouncer?" He's like, "That's our art teacher." And I said, "Oh my God, Yevgeny Sokolov, is that correct?"
Yes.
Yevgeny, may I call you Yevgeny?
What was that?
Well, Yevgeny, may I call you that?
Yevgeny, yes, definitely. Sorry.
Welcome to the booth.
Thank you.
And Yevgeny, tell the listeners a little bit about Yevgeny Sokolov. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Perfect.
Tell the listeners a little about you.
Well, a little about me. My life, of course, began in Russia, Soviet Russia. I was, grew up there in Ivanovo city. It used to be called Ivanovo-Voznесенsk a long time ago. But kind of a big city, 400-some thousand people there. I grew up there up until I was 16. Mom, dad, brother, half sister, but she didn't live with us, of course. But she was much older than us. Anyway, I played different sports when I was growing up. Played a little bit of volleyball when I was very little. Didn't like it. In about a week, I left. But in Russia, they did not have interscholastic sports. It's like you have to go to the sports school after classes. So after that, I decided to step in and do some track and field at my teens, like 12, maybe 13, and I did that for a year. Got tired of that a little bit. Just didn't find myself being kind of getting taller and still doing track. I was like, okay. Right nearby, there was a wrestling school, so I decided to start doing wrestling. Did that for a year. And about 14, I hit a growth spurt. So I was taller than all my classmates, but I got to about 6'6" or so when I was 14. And my wrestling coach told me right in my face, he said, you got to go. You can't do wrestling. So I was getting a little too tall for it. And I liked that candor. I took it, no problem. I was like, sounds good. I guess I need to find something I can be better at. And basketball kind of found me. I wanted to play, but I didn't know who to call, who to talk to. Didn't know anybody. And lady at the weightlifting place, that little gym, said, how old are you? I was like, 14. She's like, you want to play basketball or do you play? I was like, no. She's like, I have a guy who will talk to you. So he came over the following day when I went lifting and talked to me. And from then on, I found the youth group team, kind of like my age group. The coach's son was our point guard, same age. And my career started there playing basketball. But in about a year, coach whipped me in such shape that I was able to play for the local college that he was also coaching. So I was playing for that college team as well. And at 16, there was a showcase in Moscow. There was this foreign coaches from, probably all over the world, players as well. Some players I couldn't understand at all. And it was just showcase for the players who, would want to have a potential chance to go play overseas somewhere. Whether it would be a school, college, whatever it is. I didn't think anything of it, but September 1st comes and I'll go to first day of school, which is in Russia is official first day of school. I come back in that evening, I get a phone call and say, hey, you want to go to play basketball in America? I was like, yes, without even kind of confirming with my parents. But, they said, of course, yeah, sure. I mean, we're already having a tough time finding shoes for me at that time. In Russia, it was kind of tough to find size. Well, goodness, I remember 16 I was wearing at that time. Ended up going with a couple of my friends where we won the Russian national championship together. We were 15 at that time, and we wanted to get kind of a 16-team bracket of our age group. So we decided to go, kind of three of us ended up at the same school. It was a private military academy. over in Melbourne, Florida, called Florida Air Academy, and started my basketball career. But this whole time I was playing, drawing. I was a kid who liked arts. Really tall fella, but really enjoyed drawing. So, realizing that, in America, I know I could have done a lot more with art. I decided to, hey, I get to play basketball and do some art and probably more with it than I probably could in Russia. I ended up playing, and we ended up winning state championship my senior year. A bunch of us were getting recruited for colleges. A couple of my guys ended up in Niagara, which they ended up actually going to the tournament one year, which I didn't get to do at A-State. I ended up at Arkansas State, which by that time, we're going to talk a little bit about my personal life here, the relationship with my wife, who I met at Wet n Wild in Florida when she was on a senior trip, and I only knew English for about 6 months.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, talking about his fascinating career coming from Russia, outside a small town, well, not really a small town, a town 400,000 outside of Russia, or out of Moscow. His trip, you indicated that when you're about 14, you hit a growth spurt, 6'6", and you were having trouble finding shoes at one point, wearing a 16. When you first picked up a basketball, what were you thinking? Did you like it, or were you thinking this is a way out?
I liked it. I played kind of recreational in the PE classes, but nothing serious. I saw the older guys play, and I was like, whoa, they're doing some cool stuff. Some funny stuff, too, but I was like, they're kicking off the wall to dunk the ball because, the board was hanging literally on the wall. I was like, okay, so they can't jump. No, I really enjoyed the sport. It's a great sport, and I knew I picked it up quickly. I just had to get in really shape, and I had the right coach for that, luckily in Russia.
And again, at some point, you were in Melbourne, Florida, and you said Wet n Wild. Now, I want to explain that when we say Wet n Wild,
it was a water park.
Water park, that's
Correct.
exactly right. And this is the greatest story ever. You had been speaking English for about 6 months.
Yes.
Is that correct? And you were there playing at the high school, and you went to this water park, and you met your now wife,
Yes,
who was on her senior trip, who went to school at Risco, Missouri.
Correct.
Explain that interaction. How in the world did that happen, Yevgeny?
Well, it was me, Max, and Sergey. There's three us Russians over here. We were going up on the one of those 2 slides that go fast. One of them was like a little rocket that you get inside and then pull the lever but we just went to one you push yourself off. But we kept doing that, and a bunch of girls. We keep seeing girls on a big tall ride that you go as a group on a big balloon. There's some shouting, hollering every time we get up there and slide because it was only happening then. It was like, well, they were kind of waving at us. Okay, so there was a bunch of girls over there. We're like, okay, well, so we're gonna go and wait for them over there at the end of the slide. And so we went over there, waited for them. They come out of there at the slide and just walked away. Now, a little disappointed, sure, but then we just decided to go ahead and follow them to the pool. And no, I'm not gonna lie, Jennifer did leave, and I don't know, I guess went to hang out with some other friends. And at first, but when she came back and we started hanging out, and at first she was thinking I don't know what was wrong with me, but my English was, broken and yes, and all those.
Correct.
I couldn't put a sentence together very well at that point. Enough to talk to her though. But we exchanged addresses, and I started writing letters when I get back, and so our relationship kind of started there. And
again, everyone, welcome to the booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov. A little bit about his career, traveling from Russia over here to play basketball, how he met his wife, which is an amazing story, at a water park. He was going to school in high school there in Melbourne, Florida, met his wife, who was on a senior trip for the Risco High School. And you said you began writing letters. I mean, obviously, this was way before cell phones and things of that nature. She had to be impressed that this 6'10", 250-something pound man was writing letters.
Yeah, lighter back then. It was about 220, 230, but it's still a tall fella. I was 6'8" in high school, I think. I grew a little bit more in college. But yeah, I was writing letters. It was kind of one of those things that, you do back in the day. And I guess you want to call them romantic letters. And we just kept in contact all up until I was really, we were on the phone. She would call me when I was in high school. When I was going to college, it was at A-State. I found out got recruited, got a full ride there to play ball. And she's like, I was just down the street 2 hours from you. So I was like, oh, great. And when in 2001, that summer, I came down to A-State and with one bag and two pairs of shoes, as coach remember used to say. So he's like, and we started dating that time, yeah. And the basketball career, I mean, it was going okay. Just some injuries kept me back, and I've kind of. At some point, my senior year, I was like, I had a chance to go play overseas, but I knew the contract was horrible, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to go finish college. And college was paid for, so why not?
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov. He is the art instructor at Malden Public Schools. He was a former coach there, and we're talking a little bit about his playing career. Now, you indicated that after Melbourne, Florida, you went to high school there. You won a state title there, is that correct?
Yes.
And then you were getting undefeated, and you got recruited and you went to ASU. Tell me a little bit about your experience at ASU. You indicated that there was a back injury, is that correct?
Yes, it was an in-game injury. I'm sure weights had something to do with it, but turned a little bit sideways, a little bit back to the basket, kind of try to fake it, and my torso turned, but my hips, I think, stayed in place too much and kind of really, really threw my back out, passed the ball to a teammate, and just walked to the bench. And
did that cost you the rest of your freshman year?
Not all of it. It was, but I was back at the end of it. That was fine. Chiropractor really fixed me. Luckily, I didn't have to have any surgeries or anything. And, honestly, it did not bother me. I didn't have to go to chiropractor afterwards. I never went back to chiropractor after he fixed everything. And I played for the next 3 years. And it didn't bug me until I got older and started doing pickup games here and there and, got a little bit out of shape here and there and started tweaking. It was like, oh, something's going on. So I started going back to chiropractor. I'm there about once every 2 weeks to realign.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, the art instructor, also former basketball player at ASU, not only a Russian national champion, is that correct, you indicated?
Yes, that was my age group national champion, 15-year-olds back in, I'd say 1996. 97.
And I don't know a lot about basketball, I'll be honest with you, but I think that the Russia had an outstanding tradition of outstanding basketball players. Is that correct?
I would say at least one really good one, Andrei Kirilenko, which I got the chance to play in the same tournament, but we didn't get to play against him. He only showed up for the final. And because he was such a pro, playing pros and all that. But there was another one who also went to my high school in Florida, who actually got to play with LeBron James and win the title at Cleveland, Sasha Cowan.
Absolutely. And tell me a little bit about this. Again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590. How old were you when you managed to pack up from your home there in Russia and come over to the United States to play basketball?
I was 16. It was tough on my mom, but I think they both knew it was probably the best choice for me. And so 16 kind of, I was like, my mind was like, yeah, I was already been traveling all over the country, so it was nothing kind of felt new. But it was different. It was different because you can't just, you're not coming back from this trip quickly home, and then seeing everybody. But
and, I can remember whenever I went to Southeast Missouri State University, which was like an hour and 15 minutes from it, I thought I was at the end of the world. And I could drive back and forth. I couldn't imagine going from Moscow to Florida at the age of 16.
Yeah, the flight was fun. first time on the big plane. But it's difficult for a lot of kids, and I get it. But for me, I think in my mind was kind of one of those things. I was like, I got to do this. I got to do this not only for me, but to help my mom, my dad, really to kind of ease their, maybe tough times finding, even finding shoes for me or
Right.
whatever, clothes sometimes was hard to find. And I knew in the United States is a lot easier for any
Absolutely.
size person.
And again, your mother and your father, are they still?
My dad passed away in 2007. My mom's alive, and she lives with my brother out there in Vladimir City now.
And how often do you have contact with your mother and your brother?
Well, we usually FaceTime every week, but lately it's been a lot tougher to find any kind of platform to do that on,
Right.
because it's either Russia or the United States shutting things down from the other end. So you can't really, you can text, but you can't really have a decent FaceTime chat anymore.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, the art instructor at Malden. And you're thinking to yourself, the art instructor, we're not talking anything about art yet, but just wait, folks. This is going to be, you're going to really be impressed when I talk about this. We're talking about your mother and your brother who's still in Russia. When was the last time you saw your mother or your brother in person?
In person, it was, let me think back now. 9 years ago, 2016. My grandmother passed away, and I was trying to make it there before she did, but didn't make it in time.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590. Yevgeny, you talked a lot about your whole desire or reason why you came across to the United States. It was because basketball, while you loved it, you had another true passion that a lot of people, and again, this is what I say when I first met you, don't judge a book by its cover. Tell the listeners a little bit about what your true love is.
Well, the true love is comics and art. But in general, it's comic art, really kind of putting it all together through the years, learning fine arts, and now able to actually draw comics at a level that would most consider professional. It's a true passion of mine. And any day I don't spend in the studio or with a pencil in my hand is usually not the best day. But I mean, I can still enjoy the, time with my wife and, friends and all that. It's great. I don't have to, draw every single day, but I'd say about 6 days, 6 days a week, usually I am drawing something.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, the art instructor at Malden Public Schools, originally from Moscow, Russia, who came over to play basketball at ASU for 4 years. Greatest story ever, meeting his wife at the Wet and Wild amusement park while she was on her senior trip for Risco High School, corresponded, and then she wound up going to SEMO, and you wound up going to ASU, and the rest is history. And y'all been together ever since, correct?
Yeah. We started dating in 2001 and got married in 2006 after I got out of college.
And for those who are interested in following Yevgeny, I'm going to ask you to do this. Spell your name, because if you get on your Facebook page, and again, I know that I've told you this 1,000 times, you look at this stuff, it's absolutely unbelievable, the stuff you have on that Facebook page. So if we want to follow you on Facebook, what is the spelling?
Yevgeny. That's Yevgeny. And Sokolov will be Sokolov.
And when I say that it's amazing, I can't believe that you don't have your own comic book series. That's how good this stuff is. Is that kind of where you want to go with it, or what you want to do with it?
Yes, it definitely is. And a lot of professionals will even tell you right now is just to go self-publish and work on your own projects. And besides doing commissions and fan art and things like that, I am working on my own project. I'm writing my own story. And I did a little prequel story. You'll be able to find it on my Instagram. I posted it somewhere. It's like a little slideshow of 9 pages, like a short 9-page prequel to the main story that I'm working on. And
that's on your Instagram page, is that correct? What is your Instagram?
It's Yevgeny Sokolov Art.
Okay. And I'm I always sound like I'm an 80-year-old man when I say this. I always follow you on the Facebook.
Yeah.
So, and I'll have to get on the Instagram. And you said before you did the art that you're doing now, you did fine art.
Yes. Painting, drawing, portraiture, landscapes, all that.
Do you ever post any of that?
I do. If you scroll far enough back past 2021, 2020, yeah, you'll find out. And then in between, may have done a few here and there, but it's a lot less of that now and a lot more of comics. Yeah, but
and is the comics kind of taking over simply because that's just what? And again. And we're on Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590 with Yevgeny Sokolov. And the reason why I ask this, and I'm at a loss for words, because I'm just so amazed that people have these abilities, like Katie Coleman, who does the artwork, and you with the just ability to, how can you just pick up a pencil and just draw that?
And it is the difference between, doing fine arts and drawing from references, or, painting abstract is different. But if you're working from reference, doing portraiture and, drawing the figures and, all that. And in comics, and this is the one thing that's kind of very legitimately puts comics into a category of its own, is that you have to do most of that quickly and out of your head. So you have to make sure you visualize it and see it in your head and put it out on the paper and make it look good. And that's what kind of, and you have to tell a story with it. And that's what drew into comics. You get to tell a story. I always liked illustrating images or like drawings where they actually tell something, where there's something going on in one image that you could read it almost like a book a little bit. And that's what comics kind of do. They tell a story with a little bit of word bubbles, but most of the time there are some pages you don't even have to have words.
And, the thing that's amazing to me about your ability to do these comics is not only do you have to do this masterful artwork, you also have to have some kind of theme or ability to write some kind of story that will keep the readers interested, that they have to say, well, that's so-and-so did this 2 years ago in this comic or this comic.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it come to you? How do you have these ideas? I mean, is it something that, do you wake up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. and like, oh, it's hit me? Or is it just you sit down and just kind of let it flow?
I usually, if I'm working on something of my own, I try not to look at anything. Just my little doodles of characters or whatever I've been working on already. Or if I'm trying to put it down in words, a lot of times it's better that way because you creating something without really getting inspiration from something else and being worried about copying something or quote unquote stealing it. But that's why I always try to do that without looking at anything and just having paper in front of me and just draw whatever is in my head and whatever I have a story with going from. And that's pretty much a technique. And then later, once you already have some material of your own, you can just use that as a reference. So kind of continue so you don't lose a place where you have established something and then don't miss it next time. It's kind of one of those things. And
again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, the Malden art instructor there at the Malden Public Schools, a former 4-year letterman, correct, at ASU basketball player. Currently, they listed you at 6'10", 250. Well, if I was going to list you on my intramural team, because we're going to get an intramural team together and we're going to dominate the Dexter Parks and Rec League, that's going to be our next goal. What would I list you in the program at, Yevgeny?
Well, the height's the same. We'll just stick with that. But the weight is about 280.
So we got 6'10", 280, followed up by me, 5'8", at 175. Sounds like a dominating duo, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, sounds great. I like that. And by the way, that City League of Dexter, we won it 1 year.
Oh, did you?
I played it with some of my former players, like Quinn Franks, Quinn Gordon, some of those guys. We played in that league. We won it that year.
That was a very long time ago. That was a very, very, very good Malden basketball team. I remember that team. Did you go? How far did you go in the playoff?
We were 27-2 that season, and we ended up losing to Charleston in the sectionals.
Yes. Okay, I remember that. Two very, very good programs. And again, we're with Yevgeny Sokolov, the Malden art instructor, talking a lot about his incredible journey from Moscow. And one thing I was going to ask you, Yevgeny, can you work on, and again, this is a silly question, but I think it's so amazing. Do you work on multiple projects at one time? For instance, do you have, I'm doing this for a couple hours, and then the next day I'll do this? How can you do that?
Yes, I do that, but most of the time I split it into different days instead of hours. So I'll probably work on one project, and when you're going back to small, if it's smaller pieces, yeah, sometimes I'll work on both of them in one day at some point. But if they're larger, like I do have a couple of commissions right now, they're about 20 some by 20 some. It's a 21 by 28, so it's a larger piece with multiple characters. I usually work on one on day. Then I'll switch to the next one the next day. What it helps me with is visualizing, seeing mistakes a lot better because I have a fresher eyes on it the next day because I didn't have it in front of me the day before. Once if you stick your nose into it for a day in and day out, you start leaving things unfixed and you miss things. But when you have fresher view, it's a lot better to work it in every other day or something.
And that leads me to a couple questions. So you indicated you have some commission pieces. If someone was interested in purchasing something or asking you to do something, is that possible?
Yes, it's best way to do that is contact me through Instagram.
That's Yevgeny Sokolov Art.
Correct.
And again, for the spelling,
YEVGENY, and then will be underscore, and then SOKOLOV, and then underscore, and then art.
And you can commission some art for Yevgeny. And again, if you just get on the Facebook page of Yevgeny Sokolov, you'll be absolutely blown away. It's truly, truly amazing, his ability and gifts. This is my next question. I've talked to a lot of people who are artists or singers and things of that nature. Are you ever happy with anything you've ever drawn? Do you always see some kind of flaw in it?
Sometimes. Sometimes I'm happy. Most of the time, if I'm not happy, I will just take that piece of paper and don't even think twice and shred it into pieces. Like just tear it in half, whatever, toss it or use it for junk paper, like dab my brush on. But I've got it to the point where I'm not going to ship out an artwork unless I'm happy with the way it came out. So, and if I'm not happy with it, it's going to be in the trash can.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, the Malden art instructor for Malden Public Schools. He's also the former basketball coach, assistant basketball coach there at Malden for some very good years. I know that you played, or not, you didn't play, but you coached with somebody who's a very good basketball player who's currently the principal, Robert Eisen. Is that correct?
Yes, he's my principal now.
You think that I could get Robert Eisen recruited on my team as well, or do you think he would still pick up the basketball with us any?
I think we both hung it up forever.
Oh,
we're done.
And again, that couldn't have been a more intimidating twosome on the sidelines with you at 6'10". And how tall do you think Robert is, honestly? 6'8"?
I think he's 6'6".
6'6". An extremely great man. Really like Robert a lot. So tell me a little bit about Malden Public Schools and the kind of stuff that you do there with the students as far as art and things of that nature.
Over the years, I've tried to establish that my classroom is not a craft room, that it's a fine arts room, and it's we do art. Even from sixth grade on, since we've been having sixth graders in here now for about 5 years, I'm establishing that we're learning how to be better artists. No more finger painting, none of that. But it is a kind of like a curve from what we do in sixth grade to seventh grade and eighth grade, and then into high school. Most of the time, you have students transfer from different schools who never had my junior high courses. They ended up feeling like they missed out a lot, like they didn't learn this or that or the other. I stress a lot on perspective. Learning 1 point, 2 point perspective. We don't ever go into 3 because it's just something we won't really use as much in their landscape paintings or drawings. I give a lot of freedom to my advanced classes where I try to guide them into their subject matter, mediums they want to use. I usually ask them what they want to do that semester. Like what kind of medium they want to work on, what they want to get better at. and what kind of subject matter they want to draw or paint. And then we kind of work on it. As they're working, I give them guidance to what they should do in certain situations. If they run into a problem, I throw a little bit of paint on there and just to see this is how you approach that situation. Or in drawing, if they get a little out of shape on their, drawing their human figure. For example, I have a student working on a comic book figure, and I'm guiding him through that because it's very personal to me drawing comics. I was like, okay, you're gonna do this do this right. So it's things like that where I try to make sure that when the kids leave my class, they know a lot of different things about art and how to approach different medium. Sadly, can't do oil painting. It's just we don't have a good enough ventilation in the classroom to, all those fumes. I just don't want those fumes around kids. But we do get to do ceramics, and we do get to do some lino cut prints, and because a lot of kids who can't really do a lot of visual stuff with pencils or paints, and they feel intimidated by it, they find themselves really comfortable around clay, where they get to make some vases and bowls and mugs and things like that. I try to make every year some of these kids make stuff with the stone fire clay as well, so they have at least one mug that they can just put in the dishwasher or microwave, not to be worried about it, because it can last.
And again, everyone, welcome to Loop with Airton on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, the art instructor for the Malden Public Schools, also a former Division I basketball player, Russian, an age group national champion, a high school state champion, undefeated, Dexter Parks and Recs champion as well. Your story is so amazing. You talked about the number of places. While you were playing basketball there in Russia as a youth, how many different places did you play? How many different did you go out of the country quite a bit as well?
Never got to go out of the country. I was a little young, and still was kind of picking up my kind of like learning the ropes and picking up different tournaments and things like that. But I got to travel Moscow several times, and St. Petersburg. Which we actually did the ABCD camp over there at Adidas, which it's usually called ABC, but in Russia it was ABCD. I don't know because it's I'm not sure. But strangely enough, Kobe Bryant was supposed to show up that year.
Really?
To visit the camp, because he usually we get one athlete professional. They had a Abdul Jabbar visit one year, and Kobe couldn't make it that year. But I did get I got his shoes. I got his Adidas shoes. That year, that camp, and traveled a little bit to the east, northeast, a little colder areas. That played for the team there on a different tournament. They're a little older group, older age. We got a third that year, so we got bronze, and I learned a lot, and I learned a lot of different how to play with a lot of different teammates, and a little bit about Russian basketball at that time. But most of the country I didn't get to see, and then went to America. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot for the United States. I'm just going to go there, and ended up working out.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Loop with Airton on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Yevgeny Sokolov. He's the art instructor there at Malden Schools, talking a lot about his upbringing, coming from the Moscow, Russia area, eventually coming over to play basketball there in Florida. And Yevgeny, when you got to Florida, you were about 16. Is that correct?
Yes.
Very little, if any, English.
None.
And you...
yes, no, and some bad words.
Yes, no, some bad words. Where were you living at when you were? I mean,
it was a boarding school, so it was they had like 4 or 5 squadrons, something like that. So I got to stay in my dropped the grade. I was 10th grade, which I just finished in Russia, but I had to drop because I didn't have English. So I had 3 ESL courses. But yeah, we were in dorms, staying about 4 guys in each room. With the bunk beds. And
you indicated that you came over with 2 other people. Is that correct?
Yes. Max and Sergey. Max was from Moscow region. I was from Ivanovo. And Sergey was from actual Moscow.
So did you know those guys before you came over?
I saw Sergey from distance because he was playing for a different team, for Moscow team, and me and Max were actually the teammates on that championship team.
And do you still stay in contact with those guys, or where are they at now?
I try my best to stay in contact since they both live in Russia.
Oh, okay. I understand. And again, we're going to welcome to the booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, talking about his basketball career. Also, his amazing artwork. If you have not got on the Instagram page, you have to get on his Instagram page. You also have to get on the Facebook. Yevgeny Sokolov, YevgenySokolov. And Yevgeny, from looking at your latest work, do you have some kind of comic? And again, I apologize if I'm saying this wrong. Do you have a character or a theme that you're really pushing that you think is where you want to go with what you want to do with the artwork?
In comics, and my personal story is more of a what I call a creature. They call it, really, everybody calls it, but creature feature. So it's more of a monster kind of base, but it still has a fantastical, like a science fiction type of end to it. So how things came about. So yeah, I'm a big kind of a creature type, like Wolverine. But I do enjoy my sci-fi and I do enjoy Batman. One character who I used to struggle drawing, Batman, because of the cowl. I just couldn't get the cowl right. And then one time, once I got there, it started clicking finally. But I do have my story will be more of a creature feature with a slight science fiction and tie in there as well. But it's more of a human story, kind of a human experience.
And I guess my question, and I ask it in a poor way, is: does your comic character have a name that you're drawing that you're going to try to? Not really, or is it just?
I'm kind of playing with it, but it will be Russians. It will be a Russian name. But
so you're telling me that this is still a work in process. You're still developing it all.
It is.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590. And Yevgeny, if you're saying how long, and again, I'm asking you questions that may not be able to be answered. So how long do you think this process to get it all lined out, get it written, get it in the works, and get it to where you want it to be, self-published or whatever you need to be? How long do you think that will take?
I know from what I've been researching and watching other self-publishing artists do and writers, is that, like, for example, I've written one issue, about 32 page issue. I've started on the second issue about 4 pages in, and I kind of had to take the break there, but this is written, and I've done most of the layouts. So the drawing, the inking, then you have to find a colorist, which is digital. But the pencil and inking is all going to be me, and it's all going to be, by hand. And like that 9-page story, I've just done all the penciling. So I have to now ink it. So it's a process. And for a 30-some page issue, most of the time it takes months.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov a little bit about his artwork that you can look on the Facebook page of Yevgeny Sokolov. Also get on Instagram, and it's Yevgeny_Sokolov_art, correct?
Correct.
And you've got to see this is the most amazing stuff I've ever seen in my life. So I guess my question, a lot of this stuff that you see that's animated, that's on TV nowadays, they have to have hundreds of people helping them do that to get out a weekly, if not, a series that often. Is that how many it requires to do that?
On the basis of each book,
yes.
There is most likely a penciler, an inker, a colorist, a letterer, and, well, of course, writer. So those folks, so from the writer to the penciler creates the layout and all that, and that once the drawing is complete, the pencil is nice and tight. And these days, you can probably just digitally send it to an inker, unless they like to work on pencils. That's most of the time worked out between the artist and the inker. And a lot of times, like David Finch, for example, he inks his own stuff. So you're saving there. But also he will get paid 2 little portions of the project. You get paid for penciling and inking. Then you send it to a digital. Most of the time, these days, it has to be the digital art, like a paint coloring. And there are some fantastic colorists that make it look as real as you want it to be, really. I've had some of my covers being colored by talented artists in the digital world, and I was really impressed.
And when you say the colors, are those the ones who kind of almost make it look like it's jumping off the page at you when you turn? It's like,
well, they put color on your work, and they make sure it goes along with what you have created, with the lighting you created. So it just makes it look like shine. It makes it look shiny. So it adds color, because all you're sending to them is inks. It's all black and white.
And again, we're on Welcome to Duke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, the art instructor for the Malden Public Schools. Yevgeny, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. You indicated that after you left ASU, you and Jennifer wound up getting together, and you wound up coming back here, and you live in Malden. Is that correct?
Well, I came back here, and we lived in Cape.
Cape?
Yeah, it's Cape. I worked at first I was working at ARI plant, and then switched to working at Rubbermaid, which was not a bad plant.
And at some point, you wound up coaching a little basketball at Malden. Tell me a little bit about your coaching experience, because I think this is very important for people to listen about coaching. I've coached in some youth stuff, never at a high school level or junior high level, anything like that. Tell me a little bit about your experience that you how you felt it went while you were coaching.
It was great. No, I really enjoyed coaching, especially being an assistant. It's like not a lot of pressure on you. You just helping the kids get better. In the first few years, I was actually playing ball with them all the time, and every once in a while they need to play against somebody tall, and I'll go in there and we kind of rough them up a little bit. And but I learned a lot from Robert into approaching coaching, and approaching how he dealt with with the kids, and sometimes with the attitudes, because I was really never on that end as a coach, so I was always a player. Then after 3 years, I was assistant with Brian. That was fun as well, and then I took over after 2 years as a head coach, and holy moly, the head coaching, yeah, I knew I was getting too stressed out. I knew I wasn't health wise. I wasn't in a great spot, and at that time there was zero, really, since I was with Robert. We didn't have much of a booster club. There was his wife was the one running the booster club, and she was the only one there, really. So just basketball wasn't receiving as much support at that time as organizing anything, so we can just coach. And everyone else can be just doing the fundraising for the kids and this and that. So we didn't have to worry about that. And you had to constantly worry about that. That was one nagging problem that I've had as a coach. And then it's just, once I realized that a practice, trying to run 5-man weave and 3-on-2 back, and it was not happening. I knew we were heading in a direction that I did not want to handle, because I was pulling my hair out. It was a simple 3-man weave, 5-man weave, and we couldn't barely do it. I was like, I think I need to get out of coaching.
And again, we're home. Welcome to the booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, former Division I basketball player from, and I say Moscow, but the actual name of your town is?
Ivanovo,
Russia, which is about 400,000?
Yep, 400.
And you've eventually made your way to Melbourne, Florida, where you went to high school, wound up winning a state title there, undefeated.
Only lost 7 games in 3 years.
7 games in 3 years. We're getting back in the Dexter Parker League. We've got to get back there. We're also Dexter Park League champion with some of his former players on a team that was a truly outstanding team. Quentin Franks and those guys were really, really, really good.
Fantastic.
Tell me a little bit about when you got out of coaching. Did that really push you to get into the art even more because you had more free time?
Yes, definitely. And I was happy to do so, and it also gave me time to work on my own health. But mostly it's the art. I could actually spend time in the studio, and which is a shop that I converted into a studio behind my house there. just dedicate more time on polishing my art skills where I knew my talent is, rather than, coaching or basketball. Yeah, definitely helped.
And when you were a youngster there in Russia, you indicated that did you draw all the time?
All the time. My notebooks would have drawings on the side notes.
And I know this is kind of a personal thing, and you may or may not want to tell me. Do you have a lot of those journals from when you were younger?
None.
None of those. Do you have any from the time that you were in Florida? Did you draw very much when you were in Florida? Do you have those journals?
I did. I drew a lot. I actually took art class as much as I could until my senior year, where they told me I couldn't take art class anymore. But I still won a Christmas card competition in high school in my senior year.
And I'm going to go out on a limb, Yevgeny. Are you a very competitive person?
A little bit. Trust me. I asked my wife. We played. What was that game, Taboo? When you ask giving hints, and we played that game, and I was getting mad because I can't explain things very well, or I don't click with people yet so well that we have inside jokes. We kept losing. I kept losing all the time. So I get angry.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, extremely talented artist. If you've not looked on his Facebook page, Yevgeny Yevgeny Sokolov Sokolov on the Facebook. You've also got on, as I just said, the Facebook. You've also got to get on his Instagram page, Yevgeny_Sokolov Yevgeny _Sokolov SOKOLOV _art. He's indicated that he does commissions. If you contact him, how many pieces of artwork do you currently have under commission right now, Yevgeny?
Currently, I'm actually doing which is Inktober. If you never heard of it, it's one of those that Jake Parker. He's been in the art industry for a long time, and he created this Inktober thing where you do one ink piece a day, and small drawing, big drawing, doesn't matter. And this year I decided not do it, but do October single character commissions. And right now I'm about three of them this October that I have left to do. And then I have about 4 after October.
And can I just request whatever I want in this commission, or is it
in this single character commission special? Yes, you can just tell me which character you want to draw, and then I'll just throw up a little rough sketch, and I'll usually send it to the client. If they like it and where it's going, I'll go with it and start working on that. It's 11 by 14. That's the format I keep it at.
And that way you kind of know the 11 by 14 is going to be the size, so therefore somebody can't say, "Yeah, I want you to do a banner."
That's something they're gonna have to go on my website to look at, and you can find that in my link in the bio on my Instagram.
Absolutely. Again, we're welcome to Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Yevgeny Sokolov, extremely talented artist. Yevgeny, while you were playing basketball at ASU, what was your degree? What were you going to degree? What were you taking classes to want to be in?
Fine art studio.
And how did you find that it was at ASU? Did they have a good program there?
They had a great program when I was there. Great program. I'm not sure how it is now because most of the professors that I've had, they're no longer there, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it is now. And I know they have a nice new building. They have a really nice new building, and at the request of Shelley. Who was our printmaking professor, which sadly passed away about a year ago from cancer. And at her request, I'm not sure, still don't know where the artwork is, but I was requested to do a commission for them of the new building. And I did actual drawing of it. But yeah, it's sad that most of my professors, if not all of them, they're no longer there. But if anything was passed on to these new professors, I'd say they're in good hands.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. We're winding down with Yevgeny Sokolov. And Yevgeny, and I should have asked you this at the beginning, but you indicate that you're into fine arts. Explain to the people, and a lot, we are in rural Missouri. Explain what you mean by when you say fine arts.
Fine arts is anything that's representation of portraiture, landscape, still life, abstract, done on canvases, paper, board, anything. Sculpture, ceramics, those are all fine arts. And that's what I learned in college. And I thought I always wanted to do pretty much, fine arts. I was going to be, a painter. I loved watercolors. So my degree was in drawing. That was my first love anyway. And but I did enjoy watercolors, and I got a minor in ceramics. Yeah. After first semester, I was like, I'm taking this every semester. So I took it for 5 semesters, which give you a minor in it. But I had drawings all the time. But in fine arts is just any representation of a landscape, portraiture, anything like that, and in any format, form, shape.
And you're talking about your ability to draw. I'm assuming you did pencils and you do things of that nature. And then you mentioned something, and I think you really enjoy it, but it's almost like it's kind of a guilty pleasure. You talk a little bit about the sculpture and the ceramics. Do you feel like that's something that you dabble in, or do you think simply because I love the drawing so much, it's good somebody to get a break, and I'm still being creative with the sculpture and the ceramics?
Well, ceramics is a very, very relaxing medium as well, which drawing to me is. It's just ceramics is, as you can, imagine, a little messy. I think when I do ceramics, I feel like it's just like, what, I haven't thrown on a wheel in a long time. I feel like, making a few mugs or something like that. That kind of gives you a little getaway from your everyday grind, like of comics or drawing. And I skipped last year. I didn't do any. So, really? No, I didn't do any last year. So I need to get back, and then definitely going to be having some kids throwing this year as well. I have my upperclassmen. I always let them throw a few days out of the quarter, so they get time on the wheel a little bit.
And one thing I think is interesting too. You being an extremely talented artist, and kind of getting those kids at Malden involved in all that. Have you seen some kids who've come through the program who are like, man, these guys are really talented?
Yes.
They just don't believe in themselves.
Well, I have those as well, and then I've seen some kids that's like, yeah, they're talented, and they're going places for sure. And one graduated Missouri State with illustration degree. One graduated Arkansas State years ago. These girls are years ago. Graduated with fine arts degree. And I have one right now in Kansas City Art Institute.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we have some really talented kids, and I try to always encourage those I know you can do it. You're good at it, but you keep telling, no, I'm not good. I'm not good. I was like, yeah, you're good. You're good. But you have to tell my late professor, Roger Carlisle used to say that if you don't tell yourself you're good, you won't be.
And one thing that I've told a lot of people in the show, and my mother has always left this with me, was she gave me a little saying that says, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And I said, you know what? I kind of believe that. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
That's true.
Because mindset is about 95% of it. And now, obviously, I could not ever do anything like you as far as the art, because it's truly amazing. And again, we're with Yevgeny Sokolov on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Yevgeny, we're kind of winding down. Is there anything that you'd like to leave the listeners with before we kind of wrap up here today?
I'll just, if you are bored at any point, just pick up a pencil or a paintbrush and do some art, guys.
Absolutely. And again, Yevgeny Sokolov, Yevgeny Sokolov. He is on Facebook. And then if you're on Instagram, it's YEVGENY_Sokolov, SOKOLOV_art. You have got to get on and check this man out. He is, again, don't judge a book by a cover. 6'10", every bit of it, 280 pounds. former basketball player who's retired because of back injury. Extremely a talented artist. I'm extremely happy that he gave me an hour of his day. Please get on the Facebook page. Please get on the Instagram page. Let this man know what's going on. You will not be disappointed. And on behalf of our producer, Misty Hagens, our executive producer, Evan Todd, I'd like to thank you for making us part of your day. I hope you have a great afternoon and a better tomorrow.